Hi, welcome to
Hi.
the Wellness Crusaders. So excited to have you here today. Today we are talking about spring cleaning with our household products and the
Mm-hmm.
exposure to them. I'm here with
Yeah.
my dear, lovely friend, Pati Reiss.
How are you
Excited to
doing,
be
Jess, today?
so good.
How are you doing today, Jess?
So good.
All right. All right. Well, let's we're going to welcome everybody. We're just going to share our mission statement, get a few business things out of the way, and then we'll have a nice chat today. We're excited if you're listening in or if you're listening in later. So, welcome to the Wellness Crusaders. Our mission is to educate and empower you to make informed choices for your health, the health of our children, our communities, and our earth. We are committed to fostering a world where the balance between human health and environmental stewardship is respected and nurtured. Join us in this holistic and transformative journey as we work together to create a healthier, more harmonious world for all. Please join the crusade.
Beautiful. We always stumble on
I
harmonious.
know, it's just one of those words, harmonious,
Harmonious. Harmony. We're bringing more harmony.
harmony. All
All right.
right.
Disclaimer listeners understand that the role of the health coach is not to prescribe or assess micro and macronutrient levels, provide healthcare, medical, or nutritional therapy services, or to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease, condition, or other physical or mental ailment of the human body. Rather, the coach is a mentor and a guide who has been trained in holistic health coaching to help clients have positive, sustainable lifestyles and changes. The listener understands that we are not acting in the capacity of a doctor, a licensed dietitian, nutritionist, psychologist, or other licensed or registered professionals, and that any advice given by the coach is not meant to take the place of advice by these professionals. If the listener is under the care of a healthcare professional or currently under prescription medications, do not discontinue any of these medications without contacting your medical professional. The listener understands that the information mentioned in our talk should not be seen as medical or nursing advice, is not meant to take the place of your licensed healthcare practitioner.
Ooh.
So there we go.
There we go. Well,
Got
thank you so much.
the dirtiness out of the way. How are you,
Yeah.
Pati?
Well, we're going to talk about dirty things today.
We're going to get
We're
dirty.
going to get dirty and remind me to talk about Dr. Amon's Think Dirty app that he mentioned at one of his talks. I'll get into that a little later. And that's another one that maybe Leighton can pull up. But before we do, welcome everyone. We're excited today because we're going to talk about household products, skincare products. We've already covered a lot of lawn products, things that you use in your garden. So we talk a lot about food, and obviously we've been talking a lot about the garden and our lawns and how to take care of the soil. So we also want to share today about how to take care of your skin and how to get some of the toxins out of your home, which are really damaging. And there's so many solutions out there. So we're going to talk a little bit about the solutions as well too. But I wanted to share some with you, Jess, and our listeners. I just want to, before we talk about the Dirty Dozen on here and some solutions for products, I wanted to talk a little bit about an amino plug. I just wanted to share a little bit because for our listeners, I broke my foot a couple weeks ago. And it was a pretty bad break. And what I want to share was that holistic medicine works because for the first day I was on medication. I was on a mix of, I think it was, I don't know, oxycodone, and then Tylenol, and then alternating between Advil, which I never take anyway for pain. I use other things. But because I was in excruciating pain in the emergency room, I went ahead and did that. And I advocate that for everybody. What I want to share, though, was the next day, I switched over to amino acids and nutrient therapy. Lori, one of our other crusaders, met my husband up in Park City and delivered DPA, which is an amino acid, arnica, which is a homeopathic remedy for swelling. And many of you probably already know about that. Also willow bark, which is, what they make aspirin from. So that was part of and then I also did total aminos, and I did L-tryptophan. I did some other things too. And I did a bone healing remedy, the Dr. Christopher's bone healing remedy that you recommended, Jess. And they were pretty sure I was going to need surgery because I broke my foot in 4 places. So I don't need surgery. And I had my foot x-rayed on Monday, and it's Thursday. And they're like, your foot's stabilized and the bones are coming back together and they're healing. So I wanted to share that with our listeners, because there is another way. And this is part of the Wellness Crusaders. We want to guide you to finding another way that's non-toxic and that's not harmful to the body. And medication works, and use it when you need to use it, as I did for the first day. But part of my healing is because I wasn't on the medication, so I could actually feel what was going on, and I didn't go, oh, I can walk on my foot, I don't feel anything, right? You need to feel it a little bit to start shifting it. So I just wanted to share my aha, because I missed surgery. Woo!
Woohoo! That's so huge, Pati. I know that was such a big stressor for you, and that's amazing. Like the holistic way, it really works. It's like you're proof that it works. And I love what you said too about the pain, that when you're taking these medications, that they're numbing that pain, and then you're not listening to your body's symptoms. And your body's symptoms are crucial. It is their way of communicating with you. Mm-hmm. And we society, you and I are pretty good at not allowing medications and things like that we don't take them. But society has just become so used to numbing any way that we can. That pain serves a purpose, and that inflammation serves a purpose, and those fevers serve a purpose. It's our body's natural defense. It's our body's natural healing too.
Yes.
And I love that you are working with your body. You are listening to it and working with it and helping it heal.
Thank you. And I wanted to share one other little nugget here. So I went to a meeting. I have a little scooter and my crutches, and I was going into this meeting, and I saw a gentleman standing outside with a walking cast on. And, he saw me on the scooter on my, and this connects into what you were just saying about the numbing of pain, when we actually need to feel a little bit of it to know where we're at with our healing. So his foot had been broken, and he was on so many pain pills and drinking around the pains, so he couldn't feel it. Well, he completely destroyed his ankle and foot, and now he has to have all these surgeries because now he's not drinking or on pain pills anymore. He got sober and he can feel everything. So just another reminder that take the pain pills for a short period if you can, and then, talk to one of us, get on some aminos, and really listen to your body, because pain is a signal, where we should rest and not step on it or walk on it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So here we go.
Shall we
spring cleaning? How's everybody doing with spring cleaning? The spring is here. Happy spring.
It's such a day today. Oh my gosh, today. Such a pretty day today.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I wanted to start off with just talking about how I kind of came into, the skincare products and the household products, because I was always, I started looking at the food, and we talk a lot about food on here. And then, of course, we talk about the soil, which is connected all to the food too, for sure. But I remember thinking, oh, what skincare products am I using? And my skin has always been sensitive, so I've always had to look for something that doesn't hurt my skin. I used to have acne, and I still get rashes, and a lot of it was connected to the skincare stuff I was using. So I started looking into that a little bit, and I was like, oh my goodness, all these toxins are and chemicals are in my makeup, are in my shampoo, my body lotion.
Yep.
And I started looking into alternatives for that. And that's what we want to share today too, because there are a lot of alternatives, and we're going to give you some good websites and actually pull them up as well too. But really looking at the fact, really understanding that our skin eats too, that we breathe in anything in our homes that's toxic, we're taking that in. So the more we can get rid of that, the better we're going to be. And I'll share this and then you can add to it, Jess. But Jess and I are both on this brain saver cleanse right now. And the book is like a Bible. He talks a lot about what affects the brain. And, the chemicals and the perfumes, those are all what he calls betrayers. I also call them secret assassins because they smell so good. One of the biggest, well, there's many, but one of the biggest ones he was talking about is, those plug-in scent things.
The Glade, like the Glade or the Bed Bath and Bed, what is it? And Body.
That Bath and Body, the little things you plug into and then it heats it and scents. Like the candles, all the candles people buy at these Bed Bath and Beyond. I mean, they are emitting these fumes which go into our lungs. And they may smell good, but they are really harmful for our bodies and particularly our brains.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, no, I do. And our skin is our biggest organ, right? So our skin is an organ, and we forget that.
No.
And we need to be careful and aware of what we're putting on it. But what you were saying about these fragrances is, yes, they smell incredible and they're wonderful. And it's so fun to smell yummy and delicious too, right? And have your home smell like baked cookies. But they cause asthma attacks.
Yes.
They are hormone disruptors.
Mm-hmm.
They are carcinogenic.
Mm-hmm.
And they are neurotoxic to our brain. And we're going to talk more about what that looks like with our brain. Leighton has a video that he'll pull up. Perfect. And how these chemicals affect our brain. And their mental health is on the rise. There's mental health issues are on the rise. And there's a reason for it. And these are some of the reasons. Right. Because once those get into the brain, they are destroying the brain. And then now mental health problems are resulting from it. And then now later, Leighton, he was asking if we should show the video now. Well, maybe we could just show it now. We could start out.
Sure.
I mean, that might be a good way to get people's attention too, right?
Yeah, let's bring it up. Is it how long is it?
It's 2 minutes.
Oh, perfect.
So we have.
Is there sound?
Nope, not hearing the sound, Leighton.
Okay, we need to sound check. Ooh, look at that neuron.
We sound checked it before it worked.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting for sound check, there are alternatives to those smells. So think about the smell, right? Yeah, our skin is absorbing it, but so are we inhaling it, right? So our brain, it goes straight up to our brain, then goes to our lungs. There's essential oils. You can get those diffusers that have essential oils in them that smell wonderful. So there are alternatives. And please, folks, start looking at this because it really can help save your brain, save your children's brain and skin. I mean, there's so many connections to it, and there are alternatives. Yeah. So that's what we really go ahead.
No, there absolutely are. And I just want to share like how I got into this too, because you shared a little bit about your story. Mm-hmm. Oh, the video's back.
Okay.
Gonna work now. Still no sound.
No sound.
Darn it. Doggone it.
Okay, well, is it on our end? Probably not. No. Okay. Well, let's continue chatting while
So going back to like my story, so I suffered with perioral dermatitis for a long time, and perioral dermatitis is a rash, and every once in a while I'll get it still, but it's if I eat gluten. But it would come around my face, my mouth. So that's why it's called perioral, because it's around the oral cavity. And I would break out with really bad, it looked like acne, looked like pimples. They were little cysts, and they would pop, and they'd be all crusty and disgusting. And so that was when I really researched. Oh no. Not working.
Oh. 1 second,
One
folks.
second, folks.
Inside the brain, along all of the blood vessels of the circulatory system, there is a highly selective filter called the blood-brain barrier. This barrier allows some substances to pass through into the brain, while keeping blood and harmful substances inside the blood vessels. The barrier is made up of several components, the first of which is the tight junctions between endothelial cells, restricting much of what can pass through. The endothelial cells are wrapped in a layer of parasite cells. Those are then embedded in a thick basement membrane made up of a fibrous extracellular matrix. Outside this membrane, astrocyte cells form projections called feet, which further surround the blood vessels. These feet help transport nutrients from the blood to neurons, supporting neural activity. In certain pathologies, like Alzheimer's disease, we believe the barrier begins to break down. This blood-brain barrier dysregulation can occur as endothelial cells degrade, compromising the tight junctions. The parasite cells also degrade, and the blood-brain barrier loses structural integrity. As this happens, the brain's custodial system fails, causing A beta and tau pathology to build up, which are strongly associated with Alzheimer's disease. Over several years, this pathology and the infiltration of other neurotoxic proteins leaking through the broken barrier lead to neurodegeneration, ultimately causing alterations in memory, behavior, and cognition.
Ooh, that's a pretty that's pretty impactful.
Yeah, so that's how it works. It breaks down our blood-brain barrier, leading to that neurodegeneration, and that's what when we say neurotoxins, that's what now you can see what it's doing. Like you can actually see and visualize it. Yeah.
Oh, our poor little brains.
Poor little brains. Yep.
And go ahead.
Yeah. So going back to like my skin rash, that's when I started researching it and started really like looking into, okay, what was going on with my skin products? Was it my skin products that were causing this? And looking at the ingredients, and sulfates was a big one for me. Sulfates and fluoride were huge ones that were contributing to this rash. So
yeah. Well, there's so many, and there's a whole list of the dirty dozen that many people are probably familiar with on the environmental working group, which we can bring up in a little bit. There's two foundations that I work with a lot, and it's the Environmental Working Group and then the David Suzuki Foundation, which is based out of Canada. But they've been doing such great work for their environment there, and household products as well too, you know. So what did you switch over to, Jess?
I'm using Himalayan Botanic.
Okay.
I'm almost out. I'm like down to the very end.
Well, it's funny. I was going to bring some of my products up here but because I couldn't carry everything. But I was like, I have so many products to show people, but we can also talk about it. And we have a list too of, I have a list that I put together that we'll put on the website for folks too. There's some great products. I'll just switch back over to makeup. One of the makeups that I use is called Dr. Hauschka, and it's based out of Germany. And they have a whole line of products, and they have for a long time, probably 25 years. And their makeup is nice. If you need more coverage, you do 2 coats, Jane Airedale is another one that's really good. And I think there's a few other cosmetics out there too. And, if you look in the health food stores, there's Mineral Fusion. I mean, there's definitely quite a bit in terms of the makeup, but, we're talking lipstick, eyeliner, all those things, all those products can have tar in them. I mean, there's so many things, and they're directly being applied near your eyes, on your lips. So,
yeah, I was trying to look up the one that I use, but
mhm.
I think it's Well People. Well People is a good one.
Okay. I heard Dr. Amen talk about Kiss My Face.
Kiss My Face.
He was talking about this gel that he was using on his face for years in one of the videos. I think you sent it to me. And he said it was so toxic, and he finally was like, maybe I need to get rid of that. So, a lot of people, forget. I use also a skincare line called 302, which is made from the avocado seed. And it's an interesting, you can't find it locally, but you can look it up, 302, and you can get to the website. I think it's just 302.com. And the 302 is the avocado molecule.
Oh.
And the guy that started the company is a chemist, a scientist. He was in I don't know if it was Guatemala, somewhere where most of their diet was avocado. And he said all the people have gorgeous skin. And so he dove into looking at why the avocado was so powerful. So it's the avocado seed oil. So there's a lot out there in terms of cosmetics. And then household products too. There's quite a bit that you can get at some of the health food stores, and make your own. And I usually just make my own. But there's a whole bunch of them. If you just look at the health food stores, and even Smith's has some too. Like there's a few regular grocery stores, but if you're looking at a 409 and a 7th generation, go with the 7th generation. It may be $2 more, but you're not getting toxic chemicals. I mean, you're wiping your kitchen down and you're wiping your bathrooms down, and we don't want to be using those chemicals that are adding, to neurotoxicity, and skin ailments.
Yeah, and they call poison control on them, right? So I was using CLR on my sink years and years ago. Gosh, I can't even remember how many years ago, but I was scrubbing it, and some of it shot into my eye, and immediately my eye got stuck shut, and I had chemical burns on my eye. I still have a scar right here in this eye from it, but it was stuck shut for 3 days. 3 days.
Oh.
Chemical burn. So, I mean, these are things we're exposing ourselves to on a daily basis, right? If we have those products. I also have a friend who I had given a natural cleaning product, an all-purpose product of vinegar, water, and a little bit of dish soap. So it's equal parts vinegar, equal parts water, and then like a tablespoon of dish soap. And you can use that on everything to clean your mirrors, clean your tubs, disinfect and clean your floors, everything. You can use it for everything. And so I'd given it to him, and he first broke out the bottle of bleach to clean his tub because he noticed that there was some mold there. So he broke out the bottle of bleach and was cleaning his tub. And then he got my little sprayer out and he started spraying. And this is a big no-no. So when these two mixed together, he actually made chlorine gas, which is highly toxic. And he started coughing. and he had to open up the windows and evacuate the house, but it started to harm his lungs. So, and this was coming from bleach and vinegar mixed together. So it's very important not to use those two together. And bleach, I mean, that just like he could have just used the vinegar. The vinegar would have helped kill all of this and disinfect the shower.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. There's so many alternatives. I didn't know that about the combination. Interesting.
Yeah.
And I know, Lori, I can't think of the product that we used here, but we had a situation with mold. And for any of you who have had mold, I just want to like highlight the product that Lori turned us onto. Do you remember the name of it, Jess?
Yeah, it's the hypochlorous acid.
Okay. Well, anyway, we opened, we had a leak in our upstairs bathroom. It came down through the roof, and my husband opened it up, and it was like, it was mold. So we got air purifiers, but we basically misted all the rooms with this non-toxic mold killer. And I had called around a little bit too, and then I realized, oh my gosh, I have that stuff that Lori gave me, and I hadn't used it yet, so I was so excited about that, and we cleared up the mold. So there are alternatives than those toxic products. I mean, if you have mold and then you add a toxic product to it, guess what's going on in your brain, right? So there are alternatives to those really strong, dangerous chemicals, and we'll make sure that gets on our website too, the information about that.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Such a great product.
Yes.
Especially, and it's a company out of Utah. It's a
Hypo
company. Yeah. Okay. And I mean, it's great for sterilizing too. So sterilizing COVID or people who are autoimmune compromised, right? For cancer patients. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great product.
Yeah, I've been actually just spraying it down in my bathroom after I clean a little bit. Then I'll just spray with that. I have a guest here right now. I have an Airbnb here, and he's hacking up a storm in there. And I'm just like, So I'm spraying every time I go into the bathroom. I'm spraying some of that, around the bathroom. And I'm just like, okay, I can do this, instead of freaking out, and of course, our immune systems, we want our immune system strong too, because we're going to be exposed to stuff. But it's just good to know that there are non-toxic products that protect you from bacterias and viruses and mold, etc. I've been having a good time cleaning my bathroom with that stuff.
Yeah, Lori just messaged and said, if people go to Hypo Company, and they use the code Heavy Metal Detox, all together, no spaces, Heavy Metal Detox, then you get 15% off.
Oh, that's big. We might have to repeat that again.
Yeah, and we'll put that on our website.
Okay, but that's great. 15% off. Wonderful. Thank you, Lori. Yay. Nice. Where should we go from here?
Well, let's talk some more about some of these products and like why they're dangerous. I mean, we touched a little bit about carcinogens, but what are some of the main ones that people should look out for? And I want to talk about cooking products as well.
Yes. I wanted to I had one of them on my slides. I can't pull up a Word document on here, can I? Probably not.
Oh, you can, but if you want to share it, Leighton has to share it.
Oh, okay. Can I do that? I pulled, because I teach a lot about this, and I have all of them listed. I don't remember the names because they're so but I think we could probably, I wonder if the Environmental Working Group has the list of them. That's what I was wondering. I wonder if we could have just go through some of the main ones. But, again, if I'm going, I just don't even buy any of that stuff. So I'm not even remembering some of the chemical names to them. But but there's a lot of them. I just don't even look anymore. I'm not reading labels because I'm going right to the organic. So that would be my suggestion, that all of them have chemicals in them. And there's so many alternatives to, those.
Yeah.
I mean, there's dish soap. There's everything,
Yeah.
basically. Laundry soap. There's even a, seventh generation makes a pretty decent non-chlorine bleach. Borax is another one that's non-toxic that can be used for cleaning.
Well, you can make your own laundry soap too. You can do baking soda, borax, sea salt, and then some essential oils. I use this one though. I use Truly Free.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Huh.
And because you get one container and then they send you refills to put in here. So you just mix it with water. And I use filtered water, but yeah.
So do you get that at a local store?
No, it's you just go through trulyfree.com.
Okay.
And then they even have, like, this is a little dryer guy, and it's got it has essential oils, like this little essential oil pack. So this is the dryer softener, fabric softener.
Oh, okay.
And it's yummy.
Yeah, and I use it. There's like a ball. It's like a wool ball for a fabric softener. Have you seen those?
Mm-hmm.
The dryer sheets, people, are really they're so toxic. The bounce. I mean, that stuff is just loaded, and then it's on your clothes, and then it's in your air. I'll just share this because it brings up some sadness for me. But my sister, who passed away almost 5 years ago from brain cancer, right? So I know it was the products that she was using and some of the food stuff and stress. I mean, there was definitely some unresolved emotional stuff that I know she needed to probably clear from what a shaman told me. But anyway, I remember being at her house and, smelling the bounce in the dryers. And I was like, oh, and I'd stay there for, a week or two sometimes. And I was like, hey, you know what, sis, let's, if you got rid of that, you can use this. I didn't have it with me, but I mentioned it, and then there wasn't an acknowledgement about it, and I'm not saying that was what took her down, but it contributed to her brain cancer. No doubt. No doubt. So we really want to prevent these diseases, and we can do that by caring for our lawns, our skin, our food. All these are products, and there's plenty of really great substitutes out there.
Yep, there are. And even though they cost a little bit more, but your health is worth that. Your life is worth that. Because if you don't make time for your wellness now, you'll be forced to make time for your sickness later. And being sick costs you so much more.
Yeah.
It just costs so much more. Like, it costs you time you can never ever get back. You can't go to activities with your friends and family. And I've seen this with personal friends and family members too, of them being so sick that they can't go and experience these functions with their grandchildren or their children or their nieces and nephews, and how important is that to have that community and to have that support when you're a child from your loved ones. But sickness keeps you from enjoying life.
Right.
It keeps you from living life.
And the symptoms of toxicity, brain fog, low energy, very sensitive to pain. You just almost feel like you have flu.
Migraines.
I know. I was supposed to speak with a woman yesterday, and she at the last minute was like, I can't come, I have migraines. And I was like, I was going to dive into it a little bit, and then I just, let it go. But migraines are also part of that, because most of these products are all estrogen disruptors. I mean, they're what they call xenoestrogens, and they disrupt our hormones. So they just cause havoc. And there are alternatives, and, shame on this chemical industries, and some of these companies. But we get to make a choice once we know. So
Yep.
there's lots and lots of choices out there.
Absolutely. Well, there's a couple of things that I wanted to touch on that I want to make people aware of.
Okay.
And one is the flame retardant clothing. Okay, the flame retardant clothing, because not only do we have it with certain type of workers out there. I know that when I was working in mining, which crazy, I was a miner at one point in time.
Wow.
All of the guys have to wear flame retardant clothing or flame resistant clothing, right? And this has got a chemical on it that does cause damage to our brain. And then also our children's clothing. So our children's clothing have this protective layer on them too. Pajamas used to be made with this, and some still are. And also some of the children's clothing that are labeled water or stain resistant contain PFAs.
Right.
And PFAs are in our bloodstream. They are also endocrine disruptors. They are carcinogenic. They cause fertility issues, immune system issues, cancer, thyroid disease, ulcerative colitis, kidney cancers, pregnancy, hypertension, like the list goes on and on and on and on. And so the PFAs are found in our cooking products as well. They are in those, the nonstick cookware.
Oh, what a nightmare those are.
And that nonstick cookware, as soon as like that starts scraping and you're still using those pans, now you're getting even more toxins into your bloodstream. And not only that, but they're going into our water. They're finding PFAs are in our water system now as well. So I want to jump back though to these products, because they're ammonium compounds, and they're organophosphate flame retardants. They're called organophosphate flame retardants. Okay. And they destroy the oligodendrocytes. The oligodendrocytes are part of our nervous system, but they are what produce myelin. And the myelin is what protects our nerves.
Yes.
It insulates the axons on our nerves, which are inside our brain. So Leighton, do you want to pull up that picture that I sent you so we can look at what that actually is, so people know what I'm talking about? Okay. So here is a neuron or a nerve, right? And so you can see the myelin sheath is that beautiful cord that goes all the way around. It's that white part. Okay, so that myelin sheath is what protects our firing patterns. It protects the axons. It protects the nerve impulses. And if you look at the end of these neurons, you will see that there's the axon terminals. Okay, the axon terminals connect to one another. You have your synapses, you have your dendrites, you have this beautiful, beautiful body. But when this myelin sheath is destroyed, now you have demyelination that's happening, which can be multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and even mental health disease. So any other mental health disease that you can think of, anxiety, depression, all of those other ones that fall into that category, right? So these ones in particular, I think are important to talk about, is the organophosphate flame retardants. Stay away from this. Even though like you think you're protecting yourself. And I even had some snowboarding pants, that had this on there because they were resisting the water. So water resistant things too, right? It had a retardant on it.
That's really important to remember for folks too, because the flame resistance, I don't know if they would put those on snowboarding pants, but they would put the water resistant on a lot of the ski clothes.
Yep.
So that's really important to think about. Wow. Ooh. Yep,
We want that myelin sheath. We need that myelin sheath. That myelin sheath So Daniel Siegel says neurons that wire together fire together. And what he's talking about is this myelin sheath. And that myelin sheath helps our recall. So when we learn things, it helps us to recall. It helps our brain to function. It's just that firing. Like it helps with the firing. So we're able to think quickly, act quickly, and be healthy.
Yes. Yeah, the connection.
Yep.
Probably affects all the electrical stuff going on in the brain too, which is really interesting. Yeah. No, that's a beautiful slide there too. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'm sure our audience does too, who can see it. But again, this is part of making choices on what you're buying. And really, and again, this is where you do need to read the labels on the clothing, know what you're buying, because you may not know. You see a cute little pair of jammies for, a 1-year-old, and it's got flame retardant on it and water resistant. And then that baby is sleeping in that.
Well, yeah. And even if they're not using 100% cotton, like we've got all these textiles now, which are so yummy to the skin, right? They just feel so good. Like the fuzzy blankets and all of that. And I'm guilty. I've got some of those too, but those have got plastics in it. And those plastics get into our lungs. They say that we eat a credit card of plastic a week.
Oh my gosh.
Plastic
I haven't heard that.
Yeah. So we're eating like a credit card size of plastic a week. So this is another reason that we need to pay attention to what it is that we're bringing into our homes.
No question.
We're giving our children too, because when those plastics get inside of us, when they get into our body, they're toxic. They are neurotoxic, and they are toxic, and our body doesn't know what to do with them.
Nope.
Immune system doesn't know what to do with them. And that buildup leads to neurodegeneration, leads to inflammation, autoimmune diseases, mental health diseases, cancers. And they're an endocrine disruptor. So now they're affecting our hormones. And so we're seeing an increase in estrogen dominance. And it's a whole other ballgame. It's a whole other talk, right? Those xenoestrogens. Yep.
Well, we're starting it though, but I think it's good we have Earth Day coming up too. So there's, let's just start thinking about how to care for ourselves and our earth. And one of the things I wanted to come back into is the kitchen. And as you're talking about plastics, plastic bags, how do we, this is what we're used to plastic, right? And I'm guilty of it too, right? But there's so many other ways now. You can get those Zippo things, the reusable plastic bags that you can put sandwiches in. You've got little containers. Please, folks, get rid of your water bottles. That water is, that water isn't real good anyway. It's just like, nah. So if we could all just do that, I don't know what the statistics is about that, but if we all just stop buying water bottles and use our reusable bottles, take them to the airport, travel with them. Because of course it's affecting us, but it really is affecting our earth too, because where they end up in the ocean, so make a pledge this Earth Day. No more water bottles. Limit your plastic, plastic bags, those little baggies that people put stuff in. There are alternatives to that.
Yeah. I never use a plastic bag when I get groceries. Well, I shouldn't say never, because there are times that I do, but when I'm getting my produce, I don't put them in the baggies.
Yes.
I don't put them in the baggies. I just keep them out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and this is part of just making changes for our health and for the Earth's health and our communities, like going, oh, okay, bring in your reusable bags. It still makes me cuckoo to see people walking out with plastic bags. I'm like, and I get it. Well, I just forgot, in many places in Europe, they don't have them. You carry your groceries then if you don't have a bag. It's not this. So we get to make the changes, and then that affects our health and our environment's health as well too.
Yeah. Well, and speaking about Europe, those in Europe, they've outlawed the PFOAs and the A's, and because they have found that they are carcinogenic. So
yeah,
and they destroy like certain parts of the organ system. So they like attack our liver, and we need our liver to detoxify. We need our liver. We need
yes.
our
So, oh, completely. I mean, our liver is our main detox organ. And yes, it's important what we're eating, but it's also important what we're breathing, what we're putting on our skin, what we're cleaning our homes with, what we're putting on our gardens, you know, what our dogs and children are playing on. So make a difference, make a pledge this Earth Day to make some changes because it's not going to happen unless we do. And, we're on a timeline, folks. I mean, I would love for my grandchildren not to have this to deal with. So I have to get grandchildren first, but I'm working on that.
Our future generations, though, whatever we do is going to
Absolutely.
them. And what legacy do we want to leave behind for future generations, whether we have grandchildren or not?
No, exactly. For all the children. Yep.
Yeah, and it's so crucial that we are the change. We have to start having these conversations with our family members.
Yes. Yes. And keep having them. I have to tell you that, my sister, who lives here in Salt Lake, it's still no bags, go to the grocery store. And so I just keep saying it. I keep saying it. There's so there's we just have to keep reminding people and do it with love and compassion, but also with some hey, time's running out. I don't want to put fear into anyone, but we do need to really care for our earth and our bodies and help with that. It's not going to happen unless we do it.
Yeah. And Earth Day is Monday, April 22nd, right?
Yeah, April 22nd. So, Leighton, could we bring up the Environmental Working Group website? This is a organization that people can find so much info on. And actually, there's an Earth Day fundraiser going on right here. And you can find it at ewg.org. It'll be on our website. These folks are just they've been my heroes for a long, long time. But they have a lot on their website that you can get to. I mean, they have here, you can see tap water database, environmental guide to sunscreens. If you're looking for sunscreens, we want to get sunscreens that aren't toxic for our skin and our children's skin. There's the shopper's guide to pesticide produce. I mean, they have so much here, and I know they have a skincare database too on this website. So I invite you, please, go visit their site, make a donation to this great. Oh, there's the consumer guide. Okay, so there's Skin Deep. Yep. What else do we have on there? For parents and caregivers, reducing your climate footprint. So it's a really great site, and they just keep growing. And if you need a place to donate money, this is one of the organizations that really could use your support. And they have a great, again, consumer guide that's really accessible and easy. And I've had clients actually print it off and take it to the store with them because they can't remember it all. So there are printable versions of some of their guides that you can just print off and take to the store with you.
Yeah, you can get your tap water tested, right? Or you can see what the tap water is like in your county and city too, right there.
Yep.
What chemicals?
There it is
too.
Oh, wow. That's so great.
Oh, see, PFA chemicals. Wow, we just talked about them.
Awesome. Yeah, so you can put your zip code in there.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, this is really a great guide for us. So I really recommend folks looking at that website and getting more information to support their families and their home and their gardens.
Yeah. And then there's that the app that Dr. Amen was talking about.
Oh,
and
yes.
you're talking about at the beginning is Think Dirty.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Before we get to Think Dirty, though, I want to pull up one other website for folks to take a look at, and that's the David Suzuki Foundation. They are also an incredible, there he is. He's one of the biggest environmentalists in the world. Thank you, David, for all your work. This is a great organization, too. They do a lot with garden care, too. I know Kathleen probably knows about it, our other wellness crusader that does a lot on farming and the soil. So they're based out of Canada, but they have so much great information as well. So that's the other website I would recommend for folks to look into. And they're doing really great work up in Canada. And yeah, and they're talking a lot about how we can shift our planet. So igniting the great global transformation. So we're in it, folks. And if we contribute to it, we will help clean up our planet and clean up our bodies and live a happier life.
Mm-hmm.
Carbon pricing, interesting. Yeah, there's some great stuff on here. So please go to davidsuzukifoundation.com. Great. Thank you so much, Leighton. And then, yeah, so that app is called Think Dirty. And I was at what was it? Integrative Psychiatry Conference with the Academy years ago in, I think it was Portland. And Dr. Amen was one of the speakers. And I forget his topic. It was obviously on the brain, but he had all of us pull up our phones and, pull up our phones. And he goes, okay, I want you to get this app. And it was called Think Dirty. Mm-hmm. And so, and I know there's probably other apps, but that's the one that I've used. And so we all did it. We did Think Dirty. I think it's thinkdirty.com. It might be .org. I don't know. And then what you can do is you can scan your products to see where they are, like, how toxic they are. So you could take that to the store and then it gives you a rating on a scale from 1 to 10. And so I had a hotel room with this other health coach. And so we went back to the room and I had been using, clean products for a long time, but she hadn't. And she's a nutritionist, right? So, but she hadn't tapped into her skincare stuff yet. And she was like, oh, so she comes back, we go back up to the hotel room and she's scanning her products and all of them were like a 9.
Oh
9
my
or
God.
10. So, even those of us in the nutrition field, we're talking about food and the importance of aminos and brain stuff. We need to look at our products that we're using too, because that affects our brain too.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's called Think Dirty.
Yep. And I do have that app on my phone. I was just looking at it. I haven't used it for a while because I don't have dirty stuff. Well, I'm sure I've got something dirty.
I bet you do. Maybe your socks are dirty today.
Maybe my feet are dirty. There's another ingredient I think we should talk about.
Okay.
That's alcohol, ethanol.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I think we should talk about that is because if somebody is a recovering alcoholic, what can it do?
Okay, well, this is so interesting you're bringing this up because there's I'm on Facebook here and there, and so I pulled up and there's a gal that people follow called the Foodie Girl, and so the Foodie Girl was talking about how all the vanilla extract that has
alcohol
in it were gone off the shelves, and she was trying to figure it out. And so then I just read some of the comments, and of course the people that are in recovery were saying, oh yeah, people drink vanilla extract to get drunk if they can't get that. So yes, there's definitely alcohol in some of the products, and I guess it's a higher amount in vanilla in some of the extracts. But why don't you share a little bit more about it, Jess?
Well, let's see. Do I have it in? Let's see. I have some echinacea right here. Nope, there's no alcohol in that one. I have this immune stuff. Let's look at it. So they typically put it in tinctures.
Yes.
The alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
They put it in extracts, like the vanilla extract, almond extract.
The extracts in higher amounts, I understand.
Yeah, in higher amounts. And then it's also in like kombuchas too, because kombucha ferments. Well, and it causes like it's the fermentation in that. It's not alcohol that's actually in it, but it can produce like that drunkenness feeling, right? The kombuchas.
Yes.
But the alcohol is used in our skincare products too, which can cause dryingness. But I'm saying a lot. How unmindful of me. It's in hairsprays, mouthwashes, pharmaceutical stuff. And if somebody is a recovering alcoholic, this can actually trigger a relapse.
No question.
So it does play a role in their relapse prevention. So getting rid of any products that contain alcohol will also help to eliminate that craving.
Right. Right. And I think it's fair to say for those folks that know someone in recovery that are very sensitive to alcohol, do that. I had a friend, and he's not here anymore. He ended up taking his life, but I remember his relapse was kombucha.
Wow.
But he started making his own. Right. So he started fermenting and thinking, okay, well, it's good. And he was a health guy. I'm a health coach too, and I'm in recovery. He was like, well, I'm going to do the healthy version of alcohol. I do kombucha. So, obviously he fermented it. So he got to a place where, he was becoming more intoxicated with it as well. And so just be mindful for those folks that know someone or are in early recovery, that some of those things can be triggers, particularly in early recovery, for sure.
Yeah. And so, and it's not going to say alcohol. Sometimes it will say ethanol or something else that ends with OL.
Right. There's other names for it. Yes. Yes. Isn't ethanol rubbing alcohol?
No? I'm not exactly sure on that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I thought rubbing alcohol was just rubbing alcohol, but I don't know. It could be ethanol. I'm not. Yeah.
I don't know either.
I'm not going to say I know that because I don't know it.
I don't know it either. So I think we could open up if anybody wanted to call in and just keep the lines open, and then we can just keep chatting for a little bit. We'll just see if anyone wants to call in and ask any questions. I'll just say that I am not an expert in a lot of these chemicals. I just know what not to do. But I'll tell you who are the experts are the scientists that work for Environmental Working Group and David Suzuki. So if you have questions about anything that you might be using, go to those websites. That's why we're providing them for you, because they have answers. And, of course, we've talked about this before about the pesticides outside on our yards and our gardens. So look at the pesticides that are in your house too. We need to start cleaning it all up. Spring cleaning.
Yeah. Yep. I love that you said that. The pesticides that are inside our house are those chemicals. Yep.
And the fungicides and things like that as well too. Yep.
Yeah.
And watch the candles. I mean, I know I mentioned that earlier, but candles, they have a lot of fumes that come off of it. And I know people like to burn candles, but there are some natural soy base, and I think there's other ways to make candles that are not toxic, that are emitting those fumes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you even talked about using the diffusers too, using the essential oils, and the essential oils are actually more beneficial for you. So they have healing properties as well.
Exactly.
Oh, we do have a caller.
Oh my goodness. Well. Hello, caller.
All right, give me a quick sec. I'm just about
Sure.
to bring them in.
And then Leighton, I want to hear about your cleaning products.
All right, will do. Let me bring this caller in, then we'll talk about my cleaning products at
Okay,
home.
I'd like to hear what you make.
All right, it's only a few things, but yeah, I'm glad to talk about that. So let's get this caller, and then I'll tell you about the things I make in my own house.
Okay.
All right, Chris, you are live with the Wellness Crusaders. What question do you have for Jessica and Patty today?
And I'm live?
You are live.
Okay, can I ask the question?
Yep, you're live, and you can ask them a question. They can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Hi. In the beginning, Patty, you had mentioned about your foot, and then once you got out of the emergency room the next day, you did not want to remain on the pain pills, and you said something about an amino acid DPA. Can you tell me more about DPA? What it's for, and what is an amino acid?
Okay. So amino acids are molecules that are from protein. You can get them in supplemental form, and they're targeted aminos. The one that I was referring to, Chris, is called DPA, and that is diphenylalanine. And that works on the endorphins. So that works on your pain receptors, which is what many of us that are trained in amino acid therapy use instead of Advil or any of the pain medication. That's the DPA. And then there's a lot of other aminos like L-tryptophan, L-theanine. Oh, that was the other one that I used too, which is L-theanine, which is also for calming the brain down and relaxing the nerves and relaxing the muscles. They actually wanted to give me a muscle relaxer in the ER as well. And I was like, no, I'm good. So that's, and there are many others too. There's L-tyrosine. So they work on different neurotransmitters, but the DPA, total aminos, and DLPA, those are all 3 different aminos you can get at the health food store, and they work on your endorphins, which help upregulate the endorphins so that you're not in that pain. That's what I used. I also used, as I said, I mentioned arnica and a few other things for inflammation as well too. But it was really the aminos that helped me deal with the pain for at least a week. I'm actually still on them now a little bit too, because I think I needed the aminos to boost up my tissue healing and my bone healing. Did you want to add to that, Jess?
Yeah, and they're also emotional pain.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, they also help with the emotional pain too. So, because I mean, how devastating is it when you have an injury like that, a physical injury where you can't walk, Patty?
Yeah.
That's pretty devastating. And so the aminos have helped you to be able to have a better mental state to help you heal as well.
Right. And that's what it does, Chris. It helps work on that oversensitivity, that grief, that shock. Because whenever we have some kind of a trauma, and this was a trauma, I actually fell off a stool in my kitchen. And I hit the ground pretty hard and my foot got trapped underneath the stool. So I knew as soon as I hit down that it was not good. The pain was immediately excruciating. So it worked on that too, because, then you go into the shock of the trauma, right? And we use it for trauma too, maybe not even just physical trauma, but emotional trauma, like being in an accident, maybe not getting hurt or abuse or something like that. We use it to help regulate the shock and the experience of the trauma, because those endorphins, and we also refer to them as our natural opiates, basically downregulate. They upregulate right when the trauma hits. Like I didn't feel it that much. Well, I actually did feel pain right away, but then it kind of numbed a little bit, because that's what it does, right? Our natural opiates numb it so we don't feel it. Well, within an hour when I was up at the ER, then the pain was increasing very rapidly. So I did take their pain medication the first day, though. I didn't have my aminos with me. That would have been a good test, but I think a day after is a pretty darn good test, too.
Yeah.
Does that answer any other questions about that, Chris?
Yeah, it answers. So my diet isn't really clean. I mean, I'm working on it as I listen to your show. But does my body produce amino acids, or can I also get them from foods, or is my body just making them?
Jess?
So you can get them from food. You have to be eating protein products. Protein products is the best way to obtain these. However, most of us are so depleted that you do need a supplementation. And then once you've been on your supplementation for a few months, it's possible to get off of those supplements and have them replenished within your replenished within your mind. And so diet is important. Diet is important when it comes to the neurotransmitters being able to operate optimally. And because if you're not eating correctly or healthy foods, and you're eating a lot of starches and a lot of sugars and not incorporating proteins, then you're under stress or on a pharmaceutical medication or any other substance like marijuana, alcohol, anything like that, that is going to deplete these neurotransmitters. Yes. And so it's important to replenish them with the proper proteins. So nuts, chicken, turkeys, beef,
fish.
And fish. Yep. Fish is a big one. And you want the healthy fishes. So mackerel or salmon or sardines.
Mm-hmm.
And Alaskan wild caught salmon. Mm-hmm. These are things that can help with the amino acids and the neurotransmitters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. I'll do a little research on that. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for calling in, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep, thank you, Chris. And make sure to check in next week at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and you have a great day. All right, no more callers, so I guess I'll talk about what I make in my own house, right?
Well, we would love to hear that, Leighton.
Well, I only make 3 things, really. One is my own magic erase markers, which is really simple. Like, you know, the white sponges you use to erase markers on your wall?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are easy to make. It's you have to buy from Amazon a thing called, I think it's melamine foam. And you buy the melamine foam. They come in the pre-made squares, like they come with the magic markers. But then all you do is you take it's like a tablespoon or a tablespoon and a half of borax, a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of baking soda, mix that in with hot water, so it all dissolves. And you just dip your melamine sponge into the water mix, squeeze it out, and you have your own magic eraser. So instead of spending, $12 on a 4-pack now, it costs maybe $3 for a whole entire 45-pack of them.
Oh my gosh.
You can buy the 45 pack of those sponges, and then you just make your own liquid, and you're good to go for cleaning your house. So that's one thing I make. The other thing I make is also your own laundry soap, which is, like you were saying before, Jessica, super simple. It's washing soda, which is made from Arm & Hammer, which is, I guess, baking soda with a few different additives. But yeah, so you use washing soda, borax, and dried soap flakes, and you just mix those together at a 2-to-1 ratio. So it's 1 cup of soap to a half cup of borax to a half cup of washing soda. And I just made my own batch 4 or 5 days ago because we ran out, and it should last me about 6 months.
Wow.
A 3-pound bag of soap to a box of borax and washing soda. And then the third thing I make is actually homemade deodorant, which is super simple. It's baking soda, yarrow root, and essential oils. And you melt those down and coconut oil, sorry. So it's yarrow root, baking soda. You heat up coconut oil, mix those both together into a pint-sized jar. And then you add your essential oils, and you've got homemade deodorant.
I never thought about doing yarrow root. I've done baking soda, bentonite clay, coconut oil, and then essential oils.
Okay, and yeah, there's all natural, so it's probably just a different way to make it. But yeah, arrowroot or what kind of clay did you say?
Bentonite, but bentonite clay can contain heavy metals, so I'm steering away from that.
That's right.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Well, try some arrowroot and baking soda and see how you like that yourself.
Yeah.
And so do you just mix it all together and make like a paste?
It's more of a deodorant like gel. So like you actually can scoop it out with your fingers if you don't pour it into a old deodorant. But yeah, it's more, I guess, thicker, like a pomade kind of. So it's not a powder or a paste. It's like deodorant, malleable.
And so it works pretty good?
I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed making it. I use patchouli and clove for the essential oils.
I love those. Hey, Leighton, I have an idea. How about you make it and I'll buy it from you?
Dill, you tell me what essential oils you want, and I can put them in there, and like just tell me which one you want to be less pungent or strong pungent on the two or three essential oils you pick, and I can go through and put it all together for you. It's super simple.
I would love that. Well, and clove is that's killing any bacteria, so that's why you use that. Is that right?
Yep, clove to kill bacteria or anything that's on the skin, and then patchouli just because it smells slightly good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love patchouli. Oh my god.
Patchouli.
Well, I said it as patchouli because that's what I grew up saying it as, but patchouli.
I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I was like, this looks like this is how you pronounce it. There's an O in there somewhere or an A.
It kind of gives you that hippie smell.
Yep. That's also part of why, because patchouli is something the hippies used back in the day to cover the smell of hemp and marijuana and all that fun stuff. Yeah. So that's also one of the reasons, like, it's kind of a nostalgic smell and people might know it, and yeah, that's why I like patchouli.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Thank you for sharing that.
Yep, of course. And those are the three things I make. So I'll let you guys get back to the show and let you go from there.
Okay, thank you so much, Leighton.
Yeah, of course. You two keep continuing. I'll be here watching the background.
Okay, great. So that just brings up when he was talking about the clove oil. I have a oil swishing process that I do, and it's with coconut oil, and I add a couple drops of clove. And so this is an old Ayurvedic practice. It's also called oil pulling, and you swish it in your mouth the first thing in the morning. So generally what I would do is if I wake up and I'm taking aminos, I would take my aminos. And then usually when you take aminos, you wait 15, 20 minutes before you take anything else. And then I would oil swish. I'm not doing it right now because of my broken foot, because it's too much to do. But and the lucky thing for me is that I have this old oven. And so I just stick a little jar with a top on it on the stove, and it keeps the oil like a little melted. So, because, but you can do it without that too. You can just put a little dollop of olive oil, coconut oil in your mouth. And what it does is it pulls all the bacteria out of your mouth. And it's the way a lot of people took care of their dental hygiene, years and years and years ago. And it's been really helpful for my teeth and for any gum disease. So you can look up oil pulling or oil swishing. But I added a couple drops of clove, as Leighton was talking about that in his deodorant, and that really helps to pull out any bacteria. So that's another little health tip for your gums and your teeth. And yeah,
that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to what you were saying about the opiate receptors in our body's natural pain, like our body's ability to naturally deal with pain. We have a built-in pain management system.
Yes, we do.
Wow.
Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah.
And it gets depleted. That's part of the neurotransmitters. And when Chris was calling in about the dealing with the pain, we have these beautiful neurotransmitters, and those neurotransmitters have to be fed. They have to be fed with food. They can get depleted from all the toxins we're talking about. There's lots of things that deplete our neurotransmitters and that create mental health and mood disorders. but if we're eating well and then we're supplementing with the right aminos, we get to feed them. So whereas medication just band-aids them, we're feeding them so that they are now upregulating and leveling, that we're like, oh, okay, wow, I am not in excruciating pain right now. I mean, I keep thinking, I was like, did I need to fall so I could really tell people about this amino miracle that happened with my foot? Because I'm at 68 and I've never broken a bone. So, I did it. I tested it out and I was like, thank you. So our bodies are remarkable when given the right things and when we have fewer toxins in there bombarding us.
Yep. Absolutely. And I can't believe you're 68. You don't look 68 at all.
No, 68. I've been 68 this whole year.
And what did you just celebrate this week, Pati?
Oh, I will share that with our audience. Thank you, Jessica. Well, I have 2 birthdays to our audience. I have my belly button birthday, which is coming in December, but I'm 68. And then I have my sobriety birthday. So I celebrated 19 years of sobriety. And I want to tell you the change in my life is dramatic. And a lot of that is due to feeding my brain again. Yes, I did trauma work. Yes, I went to treatment. I do meetings. I'm supported by the community. There's no question about those. But the main thing that shifted my ability to stay sober and happy and healthy was feeding my brain amino acid therapy and nutrition. And I talk about this to all my students and clients because I'm living proof of it. And I had pretty severe anxiety and insomnia. They kind of go hand in hand because that's serotonin. When your serotonin's off, you don't sleep, you have anxiety, you have OCD, you have rage. I mean, there's a lot of things you can have when you're low in serotonin. So yes, got 19 years sobriety. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's such a great accomplishment. I'm so proud of you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So proud of
Well,
you.
and it's not just willpower. A lot of people talk about, well, you just got to force it. I'm like, well, you've got to feel good to make that change, and when you're feeling happy and healthy, why would you put anything else in your body?
Yeah.
Because alcohol, it's a poison, I mean, I know there's moderation and people can do that. And I applaud that. And I think it's great. But if you listen to Andrew Huberman's podcast, you might think differently about putting anything in.
Yeah.
He talks a lot about that. And as we age too, it's just something that's challenging for the body. But for some people, they can't have one drink. So, it just doesn't work.
No.
And, the neural pathways that get set in when you've been drinking pretty regularly or smoking weed or smoking cigarettes. I mean, the pathways are there. So you just pick up one and there we're off to the races.
Yep. Well, we talked about that myelin sheath, right? The neurons that fire together. And you still have that myelin sheath. It's still there. And so if you pick up a drink, you haven't drank for years, of course, like it's fired right back up. It's just like gung ho, like, let's go. Yeehaw, let's go.
Yeah. Well, and I'll share this because this was really interesting. So I was about 7 years sober and I was working with Christina Veselak, who is the director and the founder of the Academy for Addiction and Mental Health Nutrition, where we are all certified through one of our certifications anyway. And I remember we were at a training in Denver and I just was curious. I was like, so Christina, do you think if you've been sober quite a long time and you've repaired your neurotransmitters with amino acid therapy, you've done your trauma work, you've changed your diet, you could drink again, or you could smoke pot again? And she's like, nope. And I was like, or just, one, not going out and drinking heavily, but she said no. And she was the one that described that. She goes, once those neural pathways have had this groove going, if you pick up again, it could go right back in there, you know? And so that's where you go, well, why? If I'm happy, healthy, sleeping well, feeling pretty darn amazing, why? When I can have a lovely cup of herbal tea.
Yep.
That's relaxing and comforting and quite delicious too.
Which one are you having today?
I'm having a mix of skullcap. So it's skullcap, oat straw, raspberry leaf, oat straw, skullcap, and chamomile. But so on that note, friends, there are lots of herbs that help you stay calm if you need that. There are aminos that help you stay calm if you need that. I was talking about theanine and GABA and taurine. These are all aminos that can support your body getting more relaxed if that's what you need. So these are the alternatives.
Yeah, and it's also going to help with that neurotoxicity and that toxicity because they're supportive of your body as well.
Right.
So
right.
And help with.
Well, they're nourishing as well as relaxing. I mean, what else do you want? Alcohol's not nourishing. It might be relaxing temporarily. Right. And so is weed, right? You know, if you look at it, that it's people are doing it to relax, to just, you know, so we can get that through nutrients and herbs and breath work and nature. There's so many other alternatives.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I think we are good.
I think
we have any callers, Leighton.
Nope, no more callers so far. So we're pretty quiet over here.
So just to recap, then go to ewg.org to check out your toxic household items.
Yes.
Stay away from things that you can't pronounce. If you can't pronounce it, just stay away from it.
Yeah.
If you have questions or concerns, you can reach us at info@thewellnesscrusaders.com. And thank you, Main Street Media.
Thank you so much
for hosting this show, for being the ones that we are able to bring this information to you. We're so appreciative of you.
Thank you.
And you can repair your body and you can repair your brain. It is possible. Pati and I are both living proof of that. From my brain injury, my traumas, and Pati's alcoholism. And we're both sitting here today in front of you, healthy and happy and functioning. So it's possible. There's hope. Message us if you have questions, concerns, if you need coaching. Both Pati and I do coaching, and we're happy to assist you with your nutrition and mental health needs. It's our passion. This is our life.
It is. Well, thank you, Jess. Thank you, Leighton. And thank you for all you listening. Please be well. Take care of yourself. And happy spring.
Yeah. Happy spring. Much love. And remember, Earth Day is Monday, the 22nd.
Yep.
So get out
there.
Make
some change.
Yep.
Make some good changes. No more water bottles. Yay.
Yay.
Thank you. Bye for now.